Hello everybody, welcome to my channel.
Shelley Winters was an American actress whose career spanned over 6 decades, marked by her powerful screen presence, versatility, and a willingness to defy Hollywood conventions. Born Shirley Schrift on August 18, 1920, in St. Louis, Missouri, and raised in Brooklyn, New York, Winters rose from humble beginnings to become one of the most respected and dynamic performers of her generation. Her early life was shaped by a deep determination to escape poverty and make a name for herself. She began acting in local theater and later trained at the Actors Studio, where she honed her craft alongside future legends like Marlon Brando and Montgomery Clift. In the 1940s, she signed a contract with Universal Pictures and started her film career in small, often glamorous roles that showcased her beauty more than her talent. However, Winters was determined to be taken seriously as an actress, not just a blonde bombshell. Her breakthrough came with A Double Life, 1947, and her performance in A Place in the Sunday, 1951, opposite Montgomery Clift cemented her reputation as a gifted dramatic actress. In that film, her portrayal of a working-class woman whose dreams are crushed by love and class constraints earned her an Academy Award nomination for Best Actress. From there, Winters sought challenging roles that reflected real, complex women, often imperfect, vulnerable, and fiercely human. She went on to win 2 Academy Awards for Best Supporting Actress. First for The Diary of Anne Frank, 1959, in which she played Mrs. Van Don with emotional depth and authenticity, and again for A Patch of Blue, 1965, where she delivered a chilling portrayal of a racist, abusive mother. Both performances revealed her fearless commitment to truth in acting. Winters' career was remarkably diverse. She appeared in both Hollywood blockbusters and low-budget films, from Lolita, 1962, to The Poseidon Adventure, 1972, where she famously performed a daring underwater scene that earned her a Golden Globe nomination. Her television work was also extensive, and she continued acting well into the 1980s and 1990s. Off-screen, Shelley Winters was known for her outspoken personality, sharp wit, and colorful love life. She was married 4 times, including to actor Vittorio Gassman, with whom she had a daughter, and famously dated several high-profile men. She was also a mentor to younger actors and a champion of method acting, teaching at the Actors Studio and writing 2 candid, entertaining autobiographies, Shelley, also known as Shirley, 1980, and Shelley 2, The Middle of My Century, 1989. Despite her success, Winters remained grounded, often joking about her fluctuating weight and unglamorous roles. She embraced aging with humor and honesty, earning admiration for her self-awareness and refusal to conform to Hollywood's standards of beauty or behavior. Shelley Winters passed away on January 14, 2006, in Beverly Hills, California, at the age of 85. Her legacy endures as that of a fearless, authentic performer who brought intensity, humor, and emotional truth to every role she played. She is remembered not only as one of Hollywood's great actresses but also as a symbol of individuality and resilience in an industry that often demanded conformity. Shelley Winters' life and career reflected the evolution of Hollywood itself, from the golden age of the studio system to the freer, more experimental cinema of the 1960s and 1970s. Her adaptability and determination kept her relevant in an industry notorious for discarding women after a certain age or size. Born to Jewish parents, Jonas Schrift, a tailor, and Rose Winter, a singer, Shelley inherited both her father's toughness and her mother's flair for performance. She began acting as a teenager, taking odd jobs to pay for acting lessons. After winning a few beauty contests, she moved to Hollywood and started as an extra, slowly climbing the ranks. Yet even early on, she resisted being typecast as just another blonde starlet. Her time at the Actors Studio under Lee Strasberg profoundly changed her approach to acting. Winters embraced method acting techniques, drawing from her own life experiences to bring raw emotion to her roles. This dedication often made her performances unpredictable and deeply moving. She once said, "Acting is like painting. You paint your own emotions onto someone else's canvas." Throughout the 1950s and 1960s, Winters worked with some of the greatest directors and co-stars of her time. She shared the screen with James Mason in Lolita, 1962, playing Charlotte Hayes, the vain and lonely mother, a role that balanced comedy and pathos with remarkable precision. In The Night of the Hunter, 1955, directed by Charles Laughton, she played Willa Harper, a woman whose tragic vulnerability becomes the film's moral core. Winters had an uncanny ability to disappear into her roles, transforming from glamorous to grotesque, from nurturing to monstrous, sometimes within the same film. Her characters often embodied contradictions, tenderness mixed with fury, humor laced with despair. Critics admired her for never holding back, for portraying women who were flawed, earthy, and real. Her later career continued to surprise audiences. In The Poseidon Adventure, 1972, her portrayal of Belle Rosen, an aging, overweight woman who sacrifices herself to save another passenger, became one of her most beloved performances. The role earned her yet another Oscar nomination and showcased her enduring bravery as an actress willing to confront physical and emotional vulnerability on screen. Off-screen, Winters was just as fascinating. She was friends with Marilyn Monroe, they were roommates in the late 1940s, and Shelley often spoke fondly of her, describing her as shy and sensitive beneath the glamour. Her romantic life was colorful and famously unfiltered in her memoirs, where she recounted relationships with stars like Marlon Brando, Burt Lancaster, and Sean Connery. Yet beyond the gossip, her books offered sharp insight into the workings of Hollywood and the challenges women faced in show business. Winters also became a passionate political activist, supporting civil rights causes, opposing the Vietnam War, and speaking out for women's equality. Her outspoken nature occasionally put her at odds with studio executives, but it also made her a beloved figure to fans who admired her candor and integrity. In her later years, Shelley appeared frequently on television, in shows like Roseanne and The Love Boat, always bringing her distinctive energy and humor to every appearance. Even as her health declined, she remained lively and outspoken, appearing on talk shows, teaching, and mentoring younger performers. When she died in 2006, Hollywood mourned the loss of a true original, a woman who had never compromised her authenticity. Shelley Winters' legacy lives on through her fearless performances, her commitment to truth in art, and her influence on generations of actors who followed her path. Shelley Winters' influence reached far beyond her own body of work. She became a bridge between old Hollywood glamour and the new wave of emotionally authentic, character-driven cinema that emerged in the 1950s and 1960s. Her performances were both powerful and unpredictable, and she inspired generations of actors to approach their craft with honesty and courage. At the Actors Studio, Shelley was not just a student but later a respected teacher and mentor. She worked closely with emerging talents who would become some of the greatest names in film, including Robert De Niro, Ellen Burstyn, and Meryl Streep. Winters emphasized emotional truth, spontaneity, and depth over superficial technique. She urged her students to find the pain in every laugh and the joy in every tear, encouraging them to explore the full range of human experience. Her lessons were often fiery and demanding, but they left a lasting mark on those who studied under her. Her career awards and accolades reflect the respect she earned from both critics and peers. Shelley won 2 Academy Awards for Best Supporting Actress, for The Diary of Anne Frank, 1959, and A Patch of Blue, 1965, and was nominated for A Place in the Sunday, 1951, and The Poseidon Adventure, 1972. She also received numerous Golden Globe nominations and won several Festival and Critics Awards. What made these honors remarkable was the range of characters they represented, from compassionate mothers to bitter villains, from tragic victims to heroes in disguise. Winters' memoirs, Shelley, also known as Shirley and Shelley II, The Middle of My Century, were bestsellers that revealed her sharp humor, intelligence, and refusal to self-censor. She recounted everything from studio politics to love affairs with both affection and candor, painting an unvarnished picture of a woman who lived fully and without apology. Her writing also revealed her deep empathy for outsiders and her belief that acting was, at its core, about understanding humanity in all its contradictions. In her later years, Winters became a beloved talk show guest, especially on The Tonight Show starring Johnny Carson, where her brash wit and larger-than-life personality made her an audience favorite. She had a gift for turning any interview into a story, peppered with outrageous anecdotes and surprising moments of introspection. Even as she aged, she never lost her sense of humor or her fighting spirit. Though her career had ups and downs, Shelley was never afraid to take risks. She worked in a wide variety of genres. Film noir, He Ran All the Way, comedy, Bona Sera, Mrs. Campbell, psychological drama, Harper, and even horror, Whoever Slew Auntie Roo. Her ability to inhabit such different worlds made her one of Hollywood's most versatile actresses. Shelley's personal life remained as vivid as her screen persona. She often described herself as a character actress in life as well as in movies. Her marriages to Mac Paul Mayer, Vittorio Gassman, Anthony Franciosa, and Jerry Deford were often tumultuous, reflecting the intensity of her nature. Yet she remained close to her daughter, Vittoria Gassman, and took pride in her family despite her chaotic love life. Her later years were spent mostly in Los Angeles, where she continued teaching and occasionally acting until health problems slowed her down. Even as she battled heart disease and diabetes, she stayed active, attending film festivals and actors' studio events. When she passed away on January 14, 2006, tributes poured in from across the entertainment world. Meryl Streep, who considered Winters an inspiration, praised her fearless embrace of humanity. Ellen Burstyn remembered her as a fireball of truth and humor. Today, Shelley Winters is remembered as more than a 2-time Oscar winner. She is celebrated as a pioneer of realism in American film acting, a woman who refused to be confined by Hollywood's expectations, and an artist who turned her flaws and experiences into art. Her story, one of ambition, resilience, reinvention, and passion, continues to resonate with anyone who has ever fought to be seen for who they truly are. Shelley Winters' body of work stands as a testament to the art of transformation, not just the transformation of a character on screen, but of an actress who constantly reinvented herself across eras, genres, and generations. Her filmography is one of the most eclectic in Hollywood history, spanning over 100 movies and countless television appearances. Each performance carried a piece of her personality, emotional honesty, unfiltered wit, and a refusal to conform to the mold that Hollywood tried to impose on women. One of her most defining roles was Alice Tripp in A Place in the Sunday, 1951. Opposite Montgomery Clift and Elizabeth Taylor, Winters portrayed a working-class factory girl whose dreams of love and security unravel when she becomes pregnant. It was a raw, tragic performance, one that stripped away glamour and revealed the vulnerability of a woman crushed by class and circumstance. Shelley deliberately gained weight and dressed plainly for the role, stunning audiences who had known her as a former pin-up. Critics hailed her bravery and emotional range. It was the moment she transcended pretty girl roles and became a serious actress. Her portrayal of Mrs. Van Daan in The Diary of Anne Frank, 1959, showcased another side of her, neurotic yet deeply human, comic yet heartbreaking. Shelley's meticulous study of the real-life woman she portrayed lent authenticity to the film, and her Oscar-winning performance remains one of her most respected achievements. She often said that this role changed her perspective on life and faith, making her more compassionate and politically conscious. In A Patch of Blue, 1965, Winters took a daring step by playing a viciously racist mother opposite Sidney Poitier. The film's exploration of racial prejudice was groundbreaking at the time, and Shelley's fearless depiction of bigotry was both disturbing and unforgettable, winning her second Oscar for that role. She remarked that it was not an award for playing evil, but for having the courage to face it. Shelley continued to push boundaries into the 1970s with films like The Poseidon Adventure, 1972. Her character, Belle Rosen, a warm-hearted ex-swimmer who sacrifices herself to save another passenger, was a blend of humor, heroism, and maternal strength. The underwater rescue scene became one of the most iconic moments in disaster movie history, and Winters, then in her early 50s, trained for weeks to perform it herself. Her physical and emotional commitment earned her another Oscar nomination and cemented her as a beloved character actress of the era. Other standout performances include her turn as the grotesque yet sympathetic widow in The Night of the Hunter, 1955, where she shared haunting scenes with Robert Mitchum. The vain and lonely Charlotte Hayes in Stanley Kubrick's Lolita, 1962, and her comedic role in Bona Sera, Mrs. Campbell, 1968, which revealed her impeccable timing and ability to balance humor with poignancy. Beyond film, Winters brought her vibrant personality to television. She guest-starred on shows such as The Love Boat, Roseanne, and Evening Shade, often playing eccentric or tough-talking older women, roles that mirrored her real-life persona. She also appeared on Broadway and in stage productions, reminding audiences that she was, above all, a dedicated actress trained in the discipline of live performance. Her teaching career at the Actors Studio became one of her greatest legacies. Students recalled her fiery passion, her insistence on emotional truth, and her tough love approach. She would often tell them, "Don't act, live it. Feel it so much that the audience doesn't see the acting." This philosophy deeply influenced future stars, helping shape a generation of performers who prized authenticity over polish. Shelley Winters' cultural impact extended beyond acting. She became a symbol of female independence and self-acceptance. In an industry obsessed with youth and beauty, she aged on screen unapologetically, embracing roles that reflected life's complexities rather than hiding from them. She spoke openly about body image, sexism, and the double standards faced by women in Hollywood long before such conversations were common. Even late in her life, Shelley remained active and outspoken. She attended film retrospectives, mentored actors, and enjoyed revisiting her classic films with younger audiences who had come to appreciate her through late-night television and film schools. When asked in an interview how she wanted to be remembered, she said simply, "As an actress who told the truth, even when it wasn't pretty." That truth defined her work and her life. Shelley Winters was not a conventional star. She was a force of nature, unpredictable, emotional, deeply intelligent, and endlessly human. Her performances still resonate because they capture what great acting is really about: empathy, courage, and the refusal to hide from reality. Shelley Winters' acting philosophy was rooted in emotional realism, a quality that made her performances feel immediate, intimate, and alive. She belonged to a generation of actors who reshaped American cinema by introducing the raw, psychologically rich style of method acting. Yet unlike some of her contemporaries, Shelley never treated the method as an abstract theory. She made it personal, earthy, and deeply intuitive. She studied under Lee Strasberg at the Actors Studio in New York, where she absorbed the central idea that acting must come from lived experience. But Shelley took it further. She used her own struggles, poverty, heartbreak, insecurity, rejection, as fuel for her performances. "Every time I cried on camera," she once said, "it was because I remembered something real." You don't fake that kind of truth, you relive it. What distinguished Winters from many of her peers was her emotional fearlessness. She didn't shy away from roles that exposed ugliness or moral weakness. Her characters were often messy, complicated, and painfully human, women shaped by survival rather than idealism. Whether she was playing a jealous lover, a desperate mother, or a weary survivor, Shelley infused each part with lived-in authenticity. In contrast to Hollywood's polished glamour of the 1950s, Winters brought grit and texture. She helped pave the way for a new kind of female representation on screen, one that allowed women to be flawed, sexual, angry, or simply ordinary. She famously said, "I don't believe in acting glamorous. I believe in acting truthfully." That attitude resonated with later generations of actresses such as Gena Rowlands, Ellen Burstyn, Jane Fonda, and Meryl Streep, all of whom cited Shelley's influence on their craft. Her dedication to realism sometimes made her a difficult collaborator. She could challenge directors, rewrite lines, and push co-stars to go deeper emotionally. But many respected her intensity. Director George Stevens, who worked with her on A Place in the Sun, said she had the courage to destroy vanity in front of the camera. Sidney Poitier once recalled that working with her on A Patch of Blue was like working with a storm, unpredictable but magnificent. Winters often used her platform to speak about the power of acting as social truth. She believed cinema had a moral responsibility to reflect reality and to help audiences confront uncomfortable issues like racism, poverty, and class inequality. Her performances in A Patch of Blue and The Diary of Anne Frank reflected that conviction. Both films challenged audiences to empathize with people outside their comfort zone. As a teacher, Shelley encouraged her students to take emotional risks. She urged them to find what she called the heart wound, the place inside that connects actor to character. She often asked students to improvise scenes from their own lives, forcing them to drop pretenses and connect with authentic feelings. One of her most famous lessons was about rejection. "If you can't take being rejected in this business, you'll never survive. But if you can turn that pain into art, you'll never fail." Her memoirs also offered insight into her acting process. She described preparing for A Place in the Sun by spending weeks working in a real factory, or rehearsing for the Poseidon Adventure by swimming daily until exhaustion. She treated every role, whether in a serious drama or a campy thriller, as a chance to uncover human truth. Even in lighter films, she gave her characters emotional grounding, often stealing scenes with her sheer presence. By the 1980s and 1990s, Shelley had become something of a Hollywood elder, both respected and affectionately feared. She appeared on talk shows, usually armed with stories that were equal parts outrageous and profound. She would recount her affairs with stars like Marlon Brando and Errol Flynn with self-deprecating humor. But she would also speak passionately about acting as a sacred craft. Her bluntness became legendary. She once interrupted a young actor at a dinner party and said, "Darling, if you're not willing to cry in front of strangers, you're in the wrong business." Even near the end of her life, Shelley was restless, curious, and creative. She continued to mentor actors, attend screenings, and write. She received Lifetime Achievement Award.
Bye bye. Thanks for watching. Bye.